Okay, well, since I've turned the mic on now, Matt, what I would say is that they should not be at work. They should be remaining indoors. That is the simple message that we've heard. But we've just
I
had
meant
the.
working from home, just
Oh,
like we are working from home.
working from home doesn't mean do work, right? That's not. No, I've misunderstood what working from home was. I thought it's no, no one does that. That's terrible. What I suggest is though, Matt, we go live. Hello to the live stream people joining us, and me going live now has just made me realise that my camera is a little fuzzy, which actually I'm glad of because it softens the contours of my face. I've often been told that I am too ruggedly handsome, so maybe being out of focus. No, I'll fix it. I'll fix it for you. There you go. Now you're exposed to my full handsomeness, and we're ready to rock. Soundboard up, faders up, finding the intro thing. Here we go. Hi everyone, welcome to the Remain Indoors podcast, where we'll be looking at some lighter news from around the internet, having a grumble when required, and talking about the ways we're keeping ourselves entertained at home. Remain indoors. Welcome to the stream, here for the next 40 minutes or so, talking about life and games and telly and news and stuff. Of course, because we are in the middle of the global coronavirus pandemic, some of that chat will revolve around that virus spreading and the ways our lives have changed, but hopefully not too much. I'm joined in the shed by Matt Two Rumpets. How are you on this fine apocalyptic day?
It's an exciting day. The daughter's online long distance learning has officially begun. So we'll see how that goes.
Wait, so
But,
are you the teacher, or is there some kind of online lecturer?
No. The teachers have all migrated online. Most of them were there anyway. She's working, I think, through Google Classrooms, and they get assignments. She's got to show up for some kind of live stream event for her technical theater studio today. So there's a schedule, there's work, and all we have to do is make sure it gets done.
But she's 15 at the moment.
Yeah.
Okay, so that might go a bit better than the class online my daughter attended with a bunch of 8 to 11-year-olds. More on that in a little bit. We're also joined very early morning in Seattle by Nick Alexander. Thanks for waking up to speak to us, Nick.
Yes, that's right. I woke up just to speak to you. Otherwise, I would still be sleeping. But no, it's good. We gotta socialize any way we can, man. I haven't sat down and had a drink with my friends in a little while. So you guys will just have to do.
Okay, I would advise not having a drink at 7 in the morning in Seattle.
It is a Coke, although it felt weird. I was like, well, do I go for a coffee? I don't have time to make it before the stream launches. Whiskey is what I would normally drink when I hang out and chat with Spanners and Matt, but it is 7 a.m. on a Monday, so we're just gonna go with the
Wait, so normally when we're hanging out at 8 p.m. UTC or UK time, that's what, like 1 in the afternoon for you, and you're already on the whiskies.
Well, yeah. So now it's 1. Usually it's noon. I just moved to the West Coast, back to the West Coast from the East Coast. So normally the Missed Apex live stream used to be at 3 in the afternoon, which is clearly acceptable whiskey drinking territory on the weekends.
Well, for me, it's obvious since this is international. As far as I'm concerned, airport rules apply, which means the moment you're in the airport, you can drink whatever time it is because time is a
Right.
stretchable concept in airports.
Right. Yes, I remember, but airports are from the before time. I mean, does that really apply anymore? Are there still airports? Where would I be going?
I
I
love the
mean, I just
I love the changing of the names to everything, to the before time. And before I went out on Saturday, and I only have one reason to leave the house now, which is to go and do my weekly radio show. My son just went, because kids are morbid. My son went, Daddy. No, he went, Papa Ricky. His voice said, Papa Ricky, are you going to the out? and like treating it like I was going out into the wastelands. I'm like, yes, I am off to battle reavers and do my vital work of making really bad jokes with the travel people and asking people about their annoying pets, and I shall return with meats and proteins from the sea.
I love that. The before time. Speaking of the before time, the chat room has noticed your, and I'm using their words here, facial fungus has disappeared.
Hey, that was my legit apocalypse beard. Right, so I am going to go and have another go at that because my radio show has changed. And the reason I shaved is there's a young producer there who gets alarmed at my facial hair. And like last time I walked in with that much, what did they call it? Fungus? Face fungus?
Facial fungus.
Last time I walked in with that much facial fungus, thanks whoever that was. Who was that? Who was it? Who was it in the chat room? Name and shame.
Sam
Harper.
H in the chat room.
I would never do anything to humiliate you, Sam Harper. I would definitely not base an entire audiobook character around my bad impression of your voice. So I'm a little disappointed that is where our relationship has gone. So Natalie, my producer, last time I went in with that much facial hair, she looked at me and went, "Oh my God, are you okay?" Like, that's what she said. "Are you okay?" I went, "Well, why?" And she went, "Oh, are you ill? Are you ill?" Like, she was visibly alarmed, and I didn't want to go through that again. But I'm not working with her for a little while, so I may grow it back, because it definitely made my face look thinner on the stream, I think.
So are we keeping this show clean so you can listen in the car or at work, or is this
Yes, let's not say any naughty words or talk about mummy daddy special times. I think that's what we'll do.
okay?
Why?
Anyways, there's nothing worse than when you go into the office and someone says, "Holy cow, like you look like crap."
Yeah.
Like, are you okay? You should go home. And you're like, "Yeah, I feel fine." Why do you say that?
My favorite thing to do to people I haven't seen in a while is you go, "Hey man, you look healthy, but what happened to the diet?" Stuff like that, like when you've not seen them for a while. Yeah, that's how to make friends and influence people. That is the.
I like to my one of my all-time favorite quotes from Parks and Recreation, which I don't know if you guys watch that over in the UK. You really should, but it's I like to call people by the wrong names to show them I don't care.
Yeah, I love that character. Welcome to our stream. We are going to be bringing you some news stories that we found around the internet and just talking about what we've been up to. It's a way for us to keep in touch with the community of people who have built up around our various projects. And as Nick said, I think before the stream, it's a way to just hang out with us guys, whereas normally we would wait for our more formal shows or podcasts. We have some wonderful news stories lined up. Before we go back to the apocalypse news, though, I never got to tell you guys about my swimming experience of taking the kids to the leisure pool, because we had some wonderful fun, Matt. I'm sure you can remember the times of little ones who are full of enthusiasm but not aware of like the basic things they need to do to survive in a swimming complex.
Yeah, the daughter was always a fan of pools and water and stuff like this. And I'm definitely going to glom on to the end of your story because, well, I have one of my own sort of taken from the recent news.
Well, I mean, it's not so much of a story as a grumble, and I do have a fader. I do have a thing. I've got one of those bumpers for a good old grumble with me, but I can't find it, so I'll have to grumble without it. First incident we had was 8-year-old stuck in a toilet cubicle, right? And right, here's the thing: she's stuck in the toilet cubicle. So I'm waiting outside. She's still of an age where it's awkward. Like, she doesn't want to come into the men's toilet,
right?
Like, at all. Like, no, daddy, that's gross. Boys are gross. Okay, that's fair. Boys are gross. I can't go into the ladies with her, so I end up just standing outside. When you're at the supermarket, that's fine. First thing that happens is phone gets whipped out, argue with someone on Twitter, lie to you guys in the WhatsApp chat that I love and respect you guys for the podcast projects. But in a swimming pool, you can't bring your electronics. So I am just stood there in shorts and just shirtless, nipples out to the world, rubbing my dad's belly outside of the ladies' bathroom, which is always a good look, isn't it? It's a strong look, that is.
Yeah, just hanging around the ladies, looking like you're not totally perving on anything.
And then, like, they're never quick. 8 or 9 year olds. She's 8. She's 8. They're never quick. So as the time goes by, you think, oh my God, like what's happened?
Well, I don't want to steal your story, but you were causing me to remember the very first time I released my daughter to go to the restroom on your own, and it was actually at a movie theater at the end of the movie. And I was like, you go to yours, I'll go to mine. Now the rule is generally we get through quicker, but still,
Yeah.
I left her alone. I'd gone a different place. There was no one keeping an eye out for her. And I come back and I look at my watch and I look at my watch and I look at my watch, and it's getting to the point where you're like, would it be worse to not phone my spouse and inform them the child is missing? Or should I just wait around and go directly to the authorities? And finally, she comes out, and it emerges that she had gone to the restroom in normal time, but then spent like 10 minutes washing her hands because she would just get lost in the sink playing with the water and the soap.
How old is
Scared
this?
the you know what out of me.
Oh, honestly, that is fantastic. What sort of age is this though?
This is be around like 8-ish.
This was in the
7 or
before
8,
time.
yeah.
Yes, that was
And
definitely.
this was in the before time. So, I mean, imagine getting lost washing your hands now. I mean,
We'd approve.
It's unfortunately come to my attention in the last couple of weeks that a large proportion of people don't wash their hands at all. And probably all of us are not really washing their hands correctly. I've seen all these instructional surgical hand washing videos about how you got to do these fancy maneuvers to like get the back.
Yeah, you've got to get the back, so you've got to just do the normal washing and in between the fingers. I'm all over that. Then I saw the surgical one with the ink, and then you've got to like hook your fingers together in like a fist, so like that, and then you do that. And then they do this weird thing where you're kind of like pleasuring your own thumb, and then you pleasure the other thumb. I'm like, oh, yeah, I definitely don't do... Yeah, I don't do any of that. So I've got lessons to learn as well. But yeah, anyway, go on.
Oh, they have it with the ink where they put on the gloves, they squirt the ink, and they show how you actually have to do all these things to rub it all around. And then they have like the heat cameras as well, showing people washing their hands, and like it's not even getting a lot of the areas. Yeah.
And normally with kids, Matt, we have the opposite problem where you hear the tap run for like a second, and then they come out with your hands. You're like, no, did you wash your hands? I did. Yeah, but for like a second. They're like, no. Yes, go back. Yeah. Anyway, so
not just kids, also adults in public restrooms. Just get their fingertips under the water and just flick it away. It's like, what did that do? Now your hands are just wet. That might even be worse.
You've just made your hands easier to spread germs, Matt.
I was going to say this goes along with toothbrushing in my experience when they're at that age. Did you brush your teeth? Yes. Well, 10 seconds is not sufficient. Let's try again.
I used to, this is a tangent, but that's fine. We're killing time here. I used to hate brushing my teeth as a kid. And as a kid, I had like loads of teeth taken out, fillings, absolute nightmare. But despite my parents' efforts to make me brush my teeth and check on me, and they would go like, oh, we went and checked your toothbrush and it was dry. That means you didn't brush your teeth. And I'm like, oh, okay. So the next time I didn't brush my teeth, but I just ran it under the tap. And then I went back and they were like, did you brush your teeth? Yeah, I did. Oh, okay. Yeah, no, that tracks. The toothbrush is wet. And then I would like boast to my friend Chris, and I really remember it going, hey, you can totally get around brushing your teeth by just wetting your toothbrush. And they think you've brushed your teeth. And he just looked at me like I was mad. And he was like, why would you not just brush your teeth? I don't know why I had that aversion to it. But obviously I'm better now. I've got a nice, lovely full set of teeth and 0 fillings. So obviously I got to grips with it in the end. So the toilet story, which seems like a lifetime ago. In fact, no, I haven't finished with the teeth thing. I just found out I shouldn't name and shame, should I? One of my sister-in-laws never brushes her teeth at nighttime. Only brushes her teeth in the morning, but just goes to bed without brushing her teeth. And she's always done it. I know. To me, that makes you, like you would wake up with like a film of goo around your teeth. Yeah. But she's just like, no, it's fine. And I just brush it in the morning and everything's great. I'm like, how have you not got fillings? But she hasn't got anything. She's completely fine. I guess some people just have, better teeth than others. Sorry, toilets. So she was in there. You didn't alert the authorities. You played the waiting game. But there comes a point where you go, do I poke my head in and say something? Do I poke my head in and go, V, are you okay? And then there's no answer because 8-year-olds are not compliant. Then you've got the decision. Do I bring my moist, flabby, pretty exposed body into the women's changing room? And that's a whole nother path. Now, I had to do that on this occasion because V was completely stuck in the cubicle. And I eventually heard her. She went, I can't get out. I can't turn the lock. I can't. So she couldn't turn the lock. So, I mean, what do you do? And I went in there and there was a lady also, you know, these things are always more awkward when you're in your swimming trunks and stuff. So there was a lady in like a 2-piece crouched down underneath trying to talk to my daughter, trying to talk her through opening the thing. And then I've just walked in there in my swimming gear going, well, what's going on? It's a bizarre situation. So that lady went and left me to it. In the end, I had to pull her underneath the door of the cubicle. So she could just about fit her head sideways underneath it. I then had to drag her across like a bathroom floor, which is bound to not be the cleanest place in the world. Drag her underneath the thing and pull her up. And I'm like, oh, V, are you okay? And she's like, yeah, last time I got stuck, there was somebody to help me do it from the other side. So she'd been stuck previously already that day and had not mentioned it the second time, just maybe thinking, oh, well, that person who came and unlocked it for me will just do it again.
Oh, that is kid. Gotta love that. That just like that slaves.
It's a nightmare. Anyway, so that's just. I've got loads of swimming stuff. I'll save some more of the swimming dramas for later.
Yeah, well, you're talking about going to swim parks, and I read an article recently. There's a brand new, like the world's biggest indoor swim park opening in New Jersey, like right across George Washington Bridge. And they were talking about it, and they had the weirdest rule that you have to wear your swimsuit under your clothes. Like you can't go to the locker room and just change into your trunks and then change out when you're done, despite being indoors. You have to wear a swimsuit at all times. And I guess maybe that was for family reasons or whatever like that. But then, of course, it doesn't really matter because everything's shut now anyway, right before they were set to open. But the worst part of it is, like, I read this, I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. They have like the biggest indoor drop in the world. It's like 100 feet straight down into water. I don't know, all sorts of crazy stuff that might be fun for my 15-year-old to go do. And then they got to the cost, $100 a person to go.
What, for a day entry? $100?
Yeah, $100 a person. I was like, nope, I'm not even going to tell my daughter this exists.
Right. So first of all, this water park was obviously put together by Buster Bluth from Arrested Development, because the whole never nude thing, how he always wore his jean shorts under his clothes, even in the shower, all that kind of stuff. So that's such a bizarre rule. Like, they don't want people changing. Fine, I can put my swim trunks on under my shorts, or I guess just show up in my swim trunks as a dude. But I mean, it's an indoor park, so you're going to go when it's not that warm out, and it's not always the warmest place in New Jersey in the non-summer times. So are you supposed to put your jeans on over your wet swim trunks, walk out of there and get hypothermia? I mean, this just doesn't make any sense. And $100 a day, I mean, that's crazy. You can't take kids there.
Per person.
Whoa.
Right.
Per person.
Yeah.
4 people was like $400.
So
So I'm pretty sure that Matt talking about how expensive it is to live in New York City and drive over the George Washington Bridge and take his family to get entertained, that's a drink. That's bingo, right?
For those unfamiliar with Matt Trumpets, well, you should be if you listen to my stuff. Yeah, Matt, you do talk about the price of New York an awful lot.
Well, it is a thing.
Lucas in our chat room, thanks for joining us in the chat room. Search for Richard Reddy on Facebook. You can find it on my social media at Spanners Ready if you want to come and chat with us live. Lucas describes it as swimming around in stranger soup, going into a pool. Yeah, it can be pretty mean. Can it? And I had to say to my two, like, no peeing in the pool. Like, I know what you two are like. You are lazy. You will sit here and you will pee in the pool. It's not happening. And then after about like 2.5 hours, I'm saying to the kids, neither of you have been to the toilet. Don't lie to me. Who peed in the pool? And they're both like, no. It's like, no, one of you definitely has.
You're asking your daughter to be imprisoned in a cubicle for your hygiene.
Yeah, unbelievable. Yeah, well, according to her, someone just comes along and opens it from the other side for you. So there's no problem. You just keep screaming until someone helps you. I guess the last thing on that is my wife completely has no idea how old our children are. She has, obviously, we've never had kids before. This is the first time we've had children. This is our first run through the cycle. I'll be more prepared for my second family with my much nicer younger wife, who's not mean to me all the time. But on this run through, my wife has no idea what an 8-year-old and a 9-year-old are capable of. So me and the boy went in first. He was like, "Oh, can I go on the flumes?" I'm like, "Yeah, I guess. Off you go." So I'm like chilling in the pool, and he's going on the flumes, and he comes and checks back in. And then suddenly I'm like, "Oh, I need to text the rest of the family and the other family, tell them that we're here." So I go off to the locker room to get my phone, and wife meets me on the way halfway, and she's like, "Where's the boy? Where's Treeface?" I'm like, "I don't know, flumes, swimming," and she's like absolutely losing it. "On his own? What are you doing?" And I'm like, "He's 9."
What's a flume?
Oh, a water slide. Is that
okay?
Okay, I don't know. I guess we've all.
Yeah.
I'm so used to calling them flumes. Is it the first time I've done a stream with 2 Americans? I have to translate everything.
Did you
I
guys
knew
play
what a
the
flume
board?
was.
Did you guys play a board game, Flumes and Ladders?
No, hang on. Don't we? Right. Okay. In all seriousness, we call that snakes and ladders.
Shoots and Ladders.
Right. Okay. That's weird. No, we have. You go up a ladder and down snakes in the UK. Do you not go down snakes?
No, you go down the chutes.
What's a chute? A parachute.
A flume.
A flume.
No, like a slide. Like we would have a laundry chute to send your laundry from upstairs to
Garbage
downstairs
chute.
if you lived in a fancy house.
Okay. I mean, call me crazy. I carry my laundry from the upstairs to the downstairs. I guess I could install a tube of some sort to simply drop it into the downstairs, but
It's kind of old fashioned, I think. I don't know if they're putting them in houses anymore. It was in, if you've seen, obviously, I assume you have seen Home Alone, the original.
yeah.
And
yeah.
he shoots the little toy soldiers into the laundry chute.
Okay. We should do some big dirty news in a minute, Matt, but
Yeah, well, I've seen both snakes and shoots. My daughter, it's been called both things through her childhood. But our local amusement park, when I grew up, had a log flume that was a ride. So I don't think necessarily it's an entirely European thing to call it a flume. I knew what you meant.
flume.
Not
There
in
you go.
Europe anymore.
So he's off riding on the flumes by himself. And yeah, to anyone out there with, because the other family we went with, my brother-in-law and their family, they had a 1-year-old and a 4-year-old. And just looking at the difference between their lives and our lives was just amazing. Like, I was just sending the children up. Yeah, go have fun. Go on the rapids. Go off on the flumes. Of course you can go off on the lazy river. Have a good time. Here's a $5. Get a hot dog. Do whatever you want. And they're like running around, chasing, oh no, that one's done a poop now. And that is still my problem because I have a child that poops in a bag and then I have to clean it up. I loved it. So there is hope, guys. If you have 2 kids under 4, your life is terrible right now. But it does get to the point where you can just pay them to go away. You can literally give them money to go away for an extended period of time.
Hilariously, this sort of thing will continue because different people are different about their kids. My kid went to a party with a friend of hers in some other part of New York. And I'm like, do you know how to get there? Yeah, sure. Okay, bye.
Oh, nice.
And then the other parent goes, do you even know where this place is? I'm like, well, kinda. Like, I know what stop they're going to on the subway. He's like, it's concerning me a little bit, the neighborhood that this place is in. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. Really?
Oh,
But,
mate.
it doesn't ever really go away.
Okay, one more tangent before we get to the news items so that you haven't, well, you won't have wasted your time if we don't get to them because we're going to come back and maybe do it tomorrow or later in the week.
Exactly.
But, my kids are desperate to go and play out by themselves. And we do live on the kind of estate where actually it would be fine to go, right, go on, run off with your friends, apocalypse aside, obviously. Go off and run around with your friends. It's fairly safe and everyone knows everyone, lots of fields and stuff. But I just want them to do the basics right. I just want them to cross the road, looking both ways, just have a little bit of awareness of stranger danger and not actively put yourself at risk all the time. But then my boy, he keeps making basic mistakes in front of me, and I say to him, like, look, I want you to go out and be on your own and go and do stuff as much as you do. Believe me, I would love to send both of you out to go and play for a few hours and be alone in the house. But we were at a supermarket, he put a trolley back, and he just ran across a zebra crossing. Lucky there was no cars, and he could probably hear, and he probably was vaguely aware that there were no cars. But he just bolted. He absolutely bolted, Nick.
Well, it's not like when we were kids, because now there's electric cars.
Yeah,
No,
that's a
really.
good point. Yes.
You cannot hear a Prius coming. I mean, there was actually I can't remember if it was The Office. It might have been Arrested Development, where it's like they're completely silent under 12 miles an hour. I mean, it's like you can't rely on the world working auditorily the way that it always has. It's going to change.
And
I imagine car kid striking things are going to be up 40%.
There might be a term for it, but that's good. You've given me a tool that I can say to my boy now. I can say to him, Matt, I can say, look, it could be an electric car, so don't just use your ears.
In-car video of a kid bolting out in front, but Lucas in the chat room said he did exactly that and got hit by a car when he was 7 or 8, and that his dad actually said he deserved it for not looking.
Oh yeah, but see, as a dad, you do have to be harsh in those moments, especially when they get away with it. And like Lucas did not die, and but Sam Watley says the term is natural selection. Stop it, stop it. That is, there are loads of times where it's not the kid's fault or it's the driver's fault. If you're as a dad, you have to be super harsh to reinforce that they did a bad thing. So he was mortified when he got to the other side, realised what he'd done. But I was livid because we've been going through this time and time again. So when we got home, I did remedial crossing the road. With my boy. I made him cross the road in front of our house 40 times, looking both ways, being super safe. And then I was just stood with my arms folded at the side of the road. And I don't know what the neighbours must have thought of me. Like, oh, look at that, Dad.
That's hilarious. I've found that simply telling my daughter to do things she already knows how to do is such a positive force for change. If she knows to not do a thing and she does it and I start to explain it to her, she'll get so irritated that next time she will simply do it correctly.
Oh man, you're doing the parenting equivalent of when someone makes like a simple mistake of saying like you are or apostrophe re, of going,
yeah.
Hey, you actually put in that message YOUR, but when it's you are, you need to separate the words out, add an E, and then shut up, I know, I just made a mistake, Dad. Nick.
Yeah.
Well, I was reading on the internet very recently something very interesting about how when you're trying to tell children to be careful, that it's actually a lot more effective to be more specific than that. So like it'll be much more effective, apparently, for you to tell Treeface to listen for vehicles or, listen for electric vehicles than it would be to just say, be careful when you cross the road. And he's like, well, yeah, I'm not planning on getting hit, so there's no problem.
Yes, I see. Yeah, that makes sense. That does track. Yeah, sorry for those 18 tangents. Well, I'm not sorry, really. I think that's what we do here at the Remain Indoors podcast. But what we also do is look at some big dirty news. Big dirty news. And no one will ever know that it took me 5 seconds to find the right bumper. That sort of thing happens. By the way, like on live radio, like all the time. On Saturday, I was going to play a track and I did my whole thing where you're talking about, we've got some great music coming up. And I had my whole thing planned of what I was going to say as the intro music was coming in, and even a smart little thing to say when there was a gap in the lyrics at the beginning of the song. Because I know everybody hates it when presenters do that. But I hit a completely different button and it started doing this whole like, you are listening to blah, and then did this like long music bed that you're then meant to talk over. And you have to be like a cat falling off a fence and pretend, style it out. Yep, that's what I was intending to do all along. But some big dirty news, Matt. Which one of these items should we go to first? There are some absolute crackers here. Why don't we go for should we go for the hairdryer?
I think the hairdryer deserves a special place in the monument of vaguely thought out but very ill-conceived ideas.
So shall I don't know if we'll get into trouble for playing the audio, so I'm just going to experiment. I'm just going to go for it and play it and listen to this guy.
But being in the medical field that I was as a paramedic, it started to make a lot of sense. One of the things that was pointed out in this interview with one of the doctors, foremost doctors that has studied the coronavirus, says that the nasal passages and the nasal membranes are the coolest part of the body. That's
So just to give this a bit of context, this is Okeechobee. No way I said that right, Nick. Okeechobee County Councillor.
Well, there's several thousand counties in America. I assume this is in Florida.
Good guess.
Yeah, so it's Bryant Culpepper, and he's basically saying here that the coronavirus is predominantly in your nose. So let's hear his advice on how to deal with that.
That's why the virus tends to go there until it then becomes healthy enough to go into the lungs. Sounds really goofy, and it did to me too, but it works. Once the temperature reaches 136 degrees Fahrenheit, the virus falls apart and just it disintegrates, okay? And I said, well, how would you get the temperature up to 132 degrees? The answer was you use a blow dryer because it's capable of doing that. So you hold a blow dryer in front of your face and you inhale.
You hold a blow dryer in front of your face, Matt, and then you inhale?
That's insane. You should simply boil some water, put it in an neti pot, and do that instead.
What, just directly shove it up your nose? Like, and you have to be really careful here, because I wanted to share this story with a few people, but I also felt the need to add, this is not advice. I am not giving you this advice, but you have to be careful, Nick, because like you can post that and people can go, oh, if that's what everyone's saying, I'm just going to put a blow dryer to my face and inhale.
Yeah, if it makes you feel at all better, I'm looking up Okeechobee County. It's in Central Florida. It's got a population of 5,600. It has nothing of note. I'm really sorry to put off any Okeechobee County listeners. If you're listening from Okeechobee County, Florida, please send us an email, spannersready@gmail.com. Let us know what's going on there. But yeah, I mean, it's the internet. It's like this can get picked up on Twitter and go viral, pun intended, and people. I mean, again, not giving medical advice, but I mean, is there going to be any real harm in blowing a blow dryer up your nose? A false sense of security?
Matt, please say that there is.
Yeah, there will be tons of harm because people will think I can go out without a mask and gloves and hang out with my buds, and all I got to do is go home and blow dry my nose and everything will be fine. And I also love, I got to say, it was very clever of you, the way you said contact us and then gave out Spanner's Gmail address.
Yeah,
that
thanks.
was brilliant. Very well done. And finally, as someone who grew up in the South, I'm going to tell you it's almost certainly pronounced Okeechobee County, not Okie.
Okie dokie. I believe you, Matt. Now, the correct response to this absolute madness is to say, hey, fella, I'm no doctor, but please shut the hell up. Don't say that to anybody else ever. However, the lady in this county commissioner's meeting, a little bit of a better human being than me. Let's hear a little bit of her response.
with your nose, and it kills all the viruses in your nose. Okay.
So I would just.
She's so polite.
I would just caution residents to, if there's lots of misinformation out there. We're hearing and learning a lot on social media, and there's just a lot of misinformation on how to cure this disease. And, I personally would just leave that to your medical provider.
Leave it to your medical provider, Nick.
Well, I think what you've done there, Spanners, is I think you've mistaken politeness for her brain is still processing one of the dumbest things she's ever heard in her entire life.
Yeah,
the two different things.
Maybe. I think we'll leave that there, and our apologies to the residents of Okeechobee County. I'm going to go for that. But good. Don't please inhale hairdryer fumes.
Don't take blow dryer advice from a podcast.
Yeah, definitely not. And like you said, Matt, actually touched on an interesting thing there, saying that when these fake cures or fake defenses against the virus come out, it empowers people to go, oh, well, I can keep going out. And I don't know what it's like for you guys, but in the UK, Friday and Saturday, when most of the stuff was being shut down, like people's work and schools and stuff, the tourist areas, the beaches, the arcades and everything were packed. Shops were packed. People were just treating it like, oh, we're off work, let's go to the beach. Like sardines, packed everywhere.
Yeah, actually, we had a similar thing in New York. They announced, oh, we're going to close the bars Tuesday night. And then like 12 hours later, they said, actually, we're closing them tonight, because someone pointed out to them rightly that if you say they're closing Tuesday and there's a Monday night in between, all you're really doing is telling everyone to go to the bars Monday night for the very last time, which is what people will do. There's been a lot of things engineered to make people behave and social distance properly, but it seems like they should have talked to someone who actually understands human behavior before they announce them, because they just seem to be announced in the worst possible way that just encourages everyone to go out and get together one more time and spread this thing.
Yeah, and I wish that as someone who is trying to follow this, like not just for my town, my county, my state, I'm trying to kind of follow at least the US and see what other states are doing. And you have 50 different states coming to decisions independently. And this is the problem with laws in general in the US. Sometimes it's hard to understand, whether restaurants are open in this place or bars are open in this place, because every state is making a decision at a different point in time. And you'll have like a wave of states making decisions, and then like 8 hours later another state will jump in, but then like the news cycle has already picked up the first three, and it's very hard to keep up. And then different states are calling a lot of the same things by different terms for different, just like coming up with different euphemisms. And like there's like stay at home orders, there's shelter in place orders, there's it's like, but they all mean mostly the same thing.
So, okay, educate me a little bit, because I just think of America, and you have a president, and you are a country, and you have the same, the same song that you sing, anthem. I couldn't think of the word for national anthem. How different do you feel as a Seattleite from Seattle? Yeah. How different do you feel from Matt as a New Yorker? Like, do you guys feel like you're all definitely the same country?
Yeah. So I think all of America has a special bond with New York City because of 9/11, at least anybody who's like at least my age. But besides that, we're both big coastal urban areas. And so we're both very progressive big cities with a lot of people and a good amount of diversity. But I definitely don't feel much unity and like shared identity with, somebody from Okeechobee County, Florida, for instance.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So whereas, in the UK, obviously we have our rivalries with the Jocks up north, and the Welsh and the Northern Irish, who seem to hate the English with a passion. And I don't know how much they hate each other, but it's
for no good reason.
But it's a close rivalry. It's a very brotherly rivalry, and we'd all happily march under the same flag, I'm sure. But I'll get some emails from from our Celtic friends telling us differently. Very interesting to see the perspective and how the different US states are dealing with stuff. All the states. So from my point of view, though, I just hear like 50 different responses, and I just think, oh, I'm just not following it. I don't know whether one thing I've heard is for Florida or another hot county. So very hard for us over here to follow what you guys are doing. But over here, there's really no restriction on your personal freedom at the moment, and anyone can go where they want, and they're all going to the pub. And I heard that like there was closing down parties here. So they're like, yep, it's one final night in the pub, one final time to spread everything, which is disappointing, because most people are kind of thinking, how can I avoid getting the coronavirus? Whereas it would be better if people thought, right, let's assume that I've got it. Everyone should assume they have it, and then say, how can I stop myself spreading it to other people? And if everyone did that, we'd be fine. But we don't. We live in a essentially quite a I don't want to say bad things. I don't want to say
Well,
bad things. It's selfish. We've got quite a selfish modern attitude towards this kind of thing.
you could put it this way. So the governments, the state governments, local governments, all that, they seem to be leading with recommendations and asking people to do things before they just jump straight into mandates. And I think it's good change management. Then when you start to shut things down, then people aren't going to take the streets and riot because they've completely taken off guard. It's like, okay, yeah, it makes sense. They were telling us not to do that for a while now. But so Matt's state is completely shut down. My state, which was actually like kind of the original center for the virus in the US, is still not shut down. And the governor's defense, or one of his defenses for not shutting it down, coming under a lot of criticism, is that he believes that people from Washington are more likely to comply with recommendations than New Yorkers who require a mandate.
Ooh, sick burn to the New Yorkers there. Right, we're going to end on a slightly lighter note. I'm going to get Nick to recommend a book for us. Yeah, book. Yeah, I'm not much of a reader, but I am determined to at least read one book. And I got these kind of comfort zones with books. There's like 10 books in my shelves that I've read them before, and I would rather read those books that I've read before than like start something new. So hopefully Nick is going to kick me off with a recommendation. But I tell you what, I don't know if I can get this clip to work, but I do want to play this clip from a vicar who tried to do an online sermon. And it's maybe tomorrow we'll go more into the fun of people trying to do all the things they used to do in a group and trying to suddenly do them online. But here's how it went for the vicar who accidentally set his arm on fire while recording a virtual sermon. Oh, spinning circle. So let's see. If I stay silent on the audio, it'll magically edit. But for the video people, you're just going to watch me fold my arms. No, that's not going to work. But look, it was funny. It's on the skynews.com /story/coronavirus vicar, and you should find it there. I'm going to give up on that. But basically, the guy's doing his sermon, and then he just very Britishly turns around and goes, "Oh, I seem to be on fire," puts himself out, and then continues with his sermon. Nick, why don't you give us a book recommendation?
I have several post-apocalyptic books that just seem so relevant to the current situation. Maybe I will go with something super popular right now that has a very popular Netflix adaptation starring Sandra Bullock. I might recommend you to check out Bird Box. So I'm about halfway through reading or listening to the audiobook for Bird Box. I want to do that before I watch the Netflix film.
So
I think
I've seen the Netflix film though, so I never like doing it that way round. I mean, actually, there are a few times where I've seen the TV thing first and then read the book, and I've loved it. A big example for me is Red Dwarf, where they did some books based on the TV series, and the books were way, way better than the TV series that I loved and are, in fact, some of the best sci-fi I've ever read. Was this written after Bird Box on Netflix, or was it adapted? Which way round was it?
It was a book first. So it's a prolific horror writer. And he obviously put the book out first. I was actually thinking in this case, it might be one of the rare situations where the screen adaptation might actually even be better than the book, might really add something to it.
I thought it was rubbish, to be honest. The film.
You thought it was rubbish?
Yeah.
Okay, well maybe I skip it. I got another one for you. I won't do 8 but another one for you. Under the Dome by Stephen King. I read this several years ago, but it was pretty good. I'm just going to read the quick blurb on Goodreads here. So, on an entirely normal, beautiful fall day in Chester's Mill, Maine, the town is inexplicably and suddenly sealed off from the rest of the world by an invisible force field. Planes crash into it and fall from the sky in flaming wreckage. A gardener's hand is severed as the dome comes down on it. People running errands in the neighboring town are divided from their families, and cars explode on impact. No one can fathom what this barrier is, where it came from, and when, or if it will ever go away.
Tangentially, the last book I read to my daughter before we embarked on a history of the periodic table, which I'm reading to her now, was The Stand by Stephen King.
Yeah. So The Stand is one of my top 5 all-time favorite books. It's actually really should be a trilogy. It's like 24 million pages long. It's actually one of the 10 longest books ever written about anything, but um, highly worth it. The beautiful thing about Stephen King that I love in Under the Dome and The Stand and all of his books is the incredible level of detail. He covers the story from so many perspectives. You get the comprehensive view of what it would be like if a magical dome came and severed your town off.
Now, there was a Simpsons episode, or in fact, no, it was the Simpsons movie where that happened. So was that just a rip-off of this book called Under the Dome?
I don't know. We could try to figure it out. What year did the Simpsons movie come out?
Don't know, ages ago, maybe like 20 years ago.
Oh, okay. Maybe the Simpsons did it first. This came out in 2009.
Oh, it's close. I think it might be close. Actually, that sounds like the sort of thing I would go for. And you're right, I like it. I mean, I've been doing, reading some audiobooks out with my voice. And I think what you find with maybe newer writers is that they have a big story arc in mind and they rush to get from one point to another. Whereas if you've got someone who spends a lot of time, explaining the guy getting his arm crushed under the dome, you get this real sense of what this world is like to inhabit. Now, how big are the words on the page? Is there pictures, or ideally moving pictures would be good?
There's not pictures. There's definitely no GIFs or GIFs or animated items
Or a
in
movie.
the paperback copy. And it's actually 2 paperbacks. There's a part 1 and a part 2. But I will say that Stephen King is, a very light read that you can tear through it. It's something ideally suited for an airport where you might go and have a drink at any time of the day in the before time, something like that.
Nice callback both to the beginning of this show and the before time, before this apocalypse began. Guys, thank you for joining me on this sunny Monday afternoon. We will yield to popular opinion if people want us to keep doing this. In fact, Matt, let's lower the bar. If people aren't actively yelling at us to not do this, then we'll probably reconvene at 2 p.m. and we've got hodges of content and news items and weird news and stories and anecdotes to share with you guys. And tomorrow, we're going to be joined by Dr. Andrew Holding, who is a real-life... I always forget what he does. I think like plants or something. No, it's not. No, he cures cancer for a living. But I bring him on my radio show and pepper him with really stupid questions like, do lions kiss? Why are trees tall? And when will the sun explode? And he very patiently explains those things to me. So if you're in the live chat with us tomorrow, you can remember to... if you're in the live chat tomorrow, you can pepper him with questions and he can try and answer them on the spot. Or you can email me, spannersready@gmail.com, and we'll line up your questions for him. How does that sound, Matt? A bit of science tomorrow.
I love the idea of science. As you know, I am a big fan of the science.
Fantastic. And throughout the week, we'll bring on our podcast friends. So please come and join us on this fine apocalypse day. And remember to remain indoors. Oh, I didn't tell anyone where to follow people. Nick Alexander at Nick Alexander F1. Matt at MattPT55 and me at Spanners Ready. You can find our other shows, Picard, where we review the series Picard, Star Trek Picard. Or you can find our F1 podcast at Missed Apex F1 or missedapexpodcast.com. We'll catch you soon. Stop. There we go. I like the fact that we didn't get to any of the prepared content until 27 minutes in, which kind of bodes well for being able to hang out and have a chat, especially with new and interesting people. And thank you for the lovely tangents you brought us down, Nick, which in this scenario is an active plus. Whereas on a more newsy show, it's quite hard. You go, oh no, I've gone down tangents and I've not got back to the news story. But here it's fine.
My lighting works mostly now.
Exactly. As the daylight appeared, it kind of fixed itself. But if you look here in the shed, me and Matt have both got like overhead white lights, and our
Yeah.
video guy Steve Amy has yelled at us equally. All right, it's not just you. We yelled out, your light is yellow. Why have you got yellow light, you big glah? I'm like, oh, okay. So I had to go out and like buy white lights and stuff and put them in the right places. But it's kind of worth it to sit in this virtual studio. I could be really naughty here and show you the Formula One studio if you're not familiar with it. Or can I do it by magic? Will it work? Yeah, there we go. Now I'm in there. Oh, hello. Now I'm in the Formula One. I'll definitely get told off for that. No one tell Steve. Okay, good. Guys.
It's just green screen still.
No, it doesn't. It
It's
doesn't
just for
show
the live
you. It
stream.
shows the live stream.
Oh.
Yeah, no, I wasn't just showing it for your benefit.
I thought we were off.
No, you have to really specifically wait for me to say that we're off air. Chris keeps getting himself into trouble by suddenly like declaring stuff, and then I'll go, okay, good. Well, I'll kill the live stream there, and you see his face where he goes, "We were live this whole time." Like, yeah. Fortunately, no one cares and no one watches us. Thank you guys. Thanks for hanging out. I hope you will join us another time. I don't have a. Oh yeah, I do have. I've got this screen here where I can go to that, and then I can click where it says it's over now, and I'll undo the one that says when it starts. I need to make that bigger. Here we go. Look, let's make that bigger, and that's like that. Cool. Happy days. Goodbye.